like one of your French girls, Jack.
Hey guys, this video is going to be a book review of The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson, the first book in a new series set on Scadrial, the world of the Mistborn books. Of course, you can see the review I did of the first Mistborn book here, and this video will contain spoilers for the original trilogy. Also a fair point, since I read the original Mistborn trilogy, I have gotten into the Cosmere, which is the universe that nearly all of Brandon Sanderson's books are set. I am now much more aware of overlying story, even if I haven't read any of the other Cosmere books yet. Soon, though. The Alloy of Law is set around 300 years after the original Mistborn trilogy, long after all of the original characters from that trilogy are dead and subsumed into history or religion. The book follows Waxilium Ladrian, a lawman from the Roughs and a descendant of Breeze from the original trilogy. The Roughs are basically the Wild West of Scadrial, full of scoundrels and everything, and is a relatively inhospitable area compared to the incredibly habitable area called the Elendel Basin that Caesar created at the end of the last trilogy. The old magics of allomancy and feruchemy have, in fact, been diluted somewhat. However, because of the intermingling of both bloodlines that are needed for these magics, they're actually able to appear in the same people now, even if it's only single abilities from each. Wax is a twin-born, with one power from each magic system. Wax's powers are that of a coin shot, able to push on metals to move them, and a skimmer, able to store or tap weight from his metal mind. This is a rather potent combination. As the story starts, Wax is forced to accidentally shoot his girlfriend. It is quite a terrible thing to happen, and eventually ends up having to take over the role of head of House Ladrian from his uncle on his uncle's death, as well as his sister. This entails a move back to Elendel, the largest city in the world, and Wax's hometown. Funnily enough, it does not take Wax very long to uncover a mystery that only someone with his skills as a lawman could actually solve. However, Wax does resist the call to adventure until his partner Wayne comes into the city investigating himself. How will Wax and Wayne solve the mystery? You'll have to read and find out. I really enjoyed this book. It was not quite as good as the original trilogy, but it was still fantastic. It was a Mistborn book. It was good. It was a good follow-up over the course of those years, showing you really how things had actually progressed in the world of Scadrial, from gunpowder being a readily available thing now, to the diluting of the allomantic and feruchemical bloodlines in such a way that you get twin-born. It was just amazing. Railways are now a thing that rival canals as the main transportation, and there are religions that have grown up over the course of those 300 or so years that have their roots in the original trilogy. It was really cool seeing how the actual progression had been made. It really felt like the world had actually progressed over that time, and I think that's testament to Brandon Sanderson's skill as an author, in that he created a world, set a world-changing series in it, and then progressed it 300 years and started writing another book series in it. And it feels a very natural run-on from that. It was, yeah. One thing that I did find a little bit jarring, though, was the way that the characters talked about the metals that were different from the original ones introduced in the original trilogy, because I just didn't know what the heck bend alloy was, and they talked about the effects of these different metals on the magic as if I would be expected to know them, and it just kind of took me out of the story for a bit, and I was like, okay, what's bend alloy and why am I meant to know what it does already, when, yeah, it just felt like there could have been a bit more exposition on each of these different metals to allow me to feel more in the story. Obviously I did eventually get there, but it still took me out of the story. It's less than ideal. One thing about the book that I felt a little bit dubious about was the presence of so many puns. There was the fact that the main characters are called Wax and Wane, i.e. the things that the moon does over the course of a month. And Wax later gets a gun named after the Ascendant Warrior, otherwise known as Vin from the original trilogy. And the gun's called Vindication. I don't know how to feel about the puns. Another thing I was a bit unsure about was the treatment of women in the book. It felt a little bit like they were sort of more trapped in their gender roles than the original trilogy. Both book series have only one real major female character in them, but Vin felt a bit more well-defined than Marasi does. This is probably because Vin was much more of a POV character most of the time than Marasi is, but still, it felt a bit weird, and Marasi was stated, I later found out, to be kind of written as an inverse Vin, so I don't know. Basically, it just felt like there were some strange choices in that department, really. Overall, I really enjoyed this new Mistborn book. I definitely want to read the rest of the books set in this time period of the Mistborn series, because this one was so great, and I just love Sanderson at the moment. He's my favourite author at the moment, and I am maybe waiting till they come out in paperback because that's my favourite format for him, but yeah, definitely getting them ASAP. The comment question for this video is, what do you think of this book and the original trilogy of Mistborn books? How do they compare in your mind? I would love to know what you think, so tell me in the comments down below.
I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you remember to like and share it and subscribe to my channel. Click on the thumbnails above to see other videos by me, including my review of Nimona by Noelle Stevenson and my update on my 2016 commitments for February. Bye!